Hi, welcome to the Pandemic Reset. We're going to talk a little bit about how to use this change in our lives to reset our nutrition and health behaviors. And before we start, it would be really helpful for you guys to just go to this website, fulllifehealthpromotions.com/blog. We'll get you there really quickly. You can download handouts and a worksheet that will be really handy for you to get through this and actually learn something rather than just listen to me talk the whole time. So with the pandemic came a lot of uncertainty, more work, isolation, things that stress us out. So they take a toll on our mental and physical health and potentially unleash a spiral of unhealthy behaviors. For instance, the more stressed you feel, the more anxiety you have, the harder it is to sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, you have less control over your eating, you may experience weight gain and depression, and all of these things are dots that connect to each other. So we're going to talk about how much easier it is when things are changing in your life to actually insert new healthy behaviors. So take the lemons that the pandemic gave us and make lemonade. So, like I said before, with so much changing in our lives, it's easier to force a healthy habit or healthy behavior in there. You want to think about how your daily routine has changed, and so this is a good time to pick up your handout and just write a couple ways down that your daily routine has changed. What's changed in your life? Maybe you're working from home, maybe you have extra family members to take care of, maybe work has changed a lot. Whatever it is for you, write that down now so we can think about it. While our lives change in ways that we can't control, we have a space to insert something that's new and healthy. So we're adapting to so much, it's a perfect opportunity to sneak in some self-care. For example, going for a walk in the morning or eating more vegetables, whatever it is, we'll think about how we can change our behaviors. So the overview for today is healthy habit formation. We're going to talk about the research, a lot of the same research, like if you've seen the Noom commercials, where weight loss and other healthy things, we go at them through behavior change and more psychological research rather than just tell you how to exercise and eat. We're also going to talk about nutrition and exercise requirements, and then we're going to talk about how to break these things down so they work for you. So the first thing we'll talk about is healthy habit formation. You want to start small. You want to seek tiny gains. You want to stack your new habits with habits you already have. You want to build in rewards. You want to do it daily. You want to have consistency. And you want to find your tribe. You want to create a healthy network. And we're going to talk about all of that in more detail. So, starting small. Willpower is like a muscle, and the more you use it, the more tired you become. Behavior change requires a lot of motivation, which is difficult to sustain over time. But by breaking down your goals into tiny chunks, you can reduce the fatigue associated with that, and you have fewer opportunities for failure. For instance, if you want to lose 25 pounds, start small. Break down your goals into nutrition and exercise categories. So this isn't to say now go form a menu of everything that you're going to eat throughout the day. You want to do something small, something you can't say no to. You want to maybe drink a glass of water before you eat each meal. Just something small. If your goal is to lose 25 pounds, your exercise goal shouldn't be to get up and do CrossFit every day. Maybe you just want to start by walking 5 minutes while your coffee brews, or do something easy, something small. We're going to talk about how to make something easy. Make it easy. Reduce friction and add fuel. So you want to make it so easy that you can't say no. So if you've read the book Atomic Habits, which is a really popular book right now, the key to forming a healthy habit or a good habit is to make it so easy that you just can't say no. You want to reduce friction, which is the kind of thing that makes it difficult for you to perform this activity or do this thing. And add fuel, which is something that makes it easier to perform this thing. So the author, Wendy Wood, of Good Habits, Bad Habits, Making Positive Change That Stick, she talks about using friction and fuel, and this is a classic psychological study where they took elevator doors in a building and they made them take 20 seconds longer to close than they would normally close. And so people, didn't want to wait in the elevator and started taking the stairs. And after a few months, they set the elevator doors back to normal, but people had already made a habit of going up and down the stairs themselves. So fewer people went back to use those elevator doors. And this is a really good example of friction. That time it took for the elevator doors to shut made it less convenient for people to take the elevator. So it gave them incentive, fuel, to do something healthier for themselves by taking the stairs. So how can we add fuel and reduce friction to your day? Start thinking now. So maybe you want to take out your handout and start writing some things down. So for instance, something you could do that's really easy is to leave healthy snacks like fruits, vegetables, almonds out where you can see them. Don't keep junk food in your house. If you want cookies, make yourself have to go to the pantry and get the flour and the sugar and the butter and make your own cookies. If you have to have it in the house, keep it somewhere far and high so that it's difficult to get to, but your apples are sitting right there in the bowl. Keep frozen veggies on hand so that you can make smoothies or have extra veggies at dinner. Lay out your exercise clothes so that they'll be waiting for you in the morning. I knew a woman who would sleep in her running clothes so that she'd get up and run, but you don't have to be that crazy. Just do whatever works for you. Choose exercises that don't require you to leave your house. If you're not used to exercising and you don't like getting up and having to go to a gym, try streaming something on YouTube. I teach at UB and I was considering getting Peloton, and I have a lot of students who are really money conscious, and they told me I was crazy. They said, just go on YouTube, there's thousands of spinning videos you can watch. So I wound up getting this trainer, which is just like a tripod that you sit your bike's back wheel on. It was like less than $100. And I watch YouTube, I can watch it on my phone or on my television, and I can do my own spinning classes at home, which was really easy. That was something that was really nice, and it didn't cost me $4,000 and an extra $50 a month. So you could do something like that. You could do one yoga pose. You could find it on YouTube. It doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to require you to go out the door. So what are some obstacles for you? What are your healthy goals, and how is it difficult for you to achieve them? So figure out what your friction is and take a minute to write it down. We're going to talk a little bit while you do that. I can get this to go. About how you have to really frame your thoughts about your healthy choices as self-care in your mind. So your healthy habits are really you taking care of yourself. You getting up in the morning and going for a walk while your coffee's brewing, or doing some calf raises while you're waiting for the coffee to be done or your tea to be done. These are important. They're not optional. Whatever you do for yourself, for your health and your stress management, that is your self-care. They'll help you to flourish. They'll help you to accomplish more each day rather than just going from one thing to the next thing. So we're going to talk about, this goes along with starting small, tiny gains. So once we're starting small, you also want to make sure that you're not trying to leap into the next phase. This is called the aggregation of marginal gains, and really what we see from this is that if you do something small every day for a year, you wind up at the end of the year having a pretty big difference. So a 1% gain over the course of a year comes out, like if you're looking at a 1% of 1, you wind up with 38 versus not doing anything or quitting. So for instance, if you're in the habit of walking for 20 minutes every day, increase to maybe 25 minutes rather than an hour. If you're in the habit of walking a mile, don't decide that you're going to go jog 3 miles. Start small, seek tiny gains, and stay consistent for true progress, because a little goes a long way over time. The next thing we'll talk about is habit stacking. So, the easiest way to form a new habit is to stack it on top an older one, something that you already do every day. So for a morning routine, morning is the time when we have the most habits already established. A lot of people have coffee or tea in the morning, and so this is a good way to stack something healthy. So maybe rather than scrolling through Twitter or something that might stress you out, watching the news, do a 1-minute meditation. You might already have them built into your smartwatch, or you can download something, some app. You could do a 5-minute walk outside. You could do 1 yoga pose, like I said, while you're waiting for your coffee to be brewed. You could plank. You don't have to even get on the floor. You can just lean over your counter, walk your legs back, and hang out here until your coffee's done. You can stand on 1 foot while you're brushing your teeth, because that's something that you do every day. And there's a lot of research that shows that if you stand on 1 foot, you, especially in older adults, you retain more muscle, you get better at balancing, and you have more coordination. So that's something that's cool. Again, you could just do calf raises, just something small. Do something while you're already in the habit of doing something else. With your meals, you eat every day. You probably eat 3 meals every day. So maybe you want to take that time to make sure that you add 1 vegetable to that meal, or 1 piece of fruit. At the end of the day, we typically have some end of the day routines, and sometimes they might involve a lot of screen time. Maybe you do instead, you do that 1 yoga pose, or you do a little bit of mindfulness meditation. So Dr. Fogg, who wrote Tiny Habits, wanted to start a push-up habit. So he stacked his push-ups with something that he did every day, which was using the restroom. Each time he went to the bathroom, he performed 2 push-ups. And now he self-reports that he does between 40 and 80 a day. So he started with something that was small and easy to do, and he stacked it with something that he had to do every day. We all do. And I'm pretty sure he only did this in his house. I don't think he did it in public restrooms. But he did it every day, and it became a habit. So we'll discuss the next important thing, which is consistency. So let's just think about for a minute with your worksheet how many tiny habits you can stack into your life right now. So we'll also talk about building in rewards. So this is another way to add fuel to your habit formation. It makes the habit you want to do easier for you to do it. So let's think about exercise. Maybe you want to make a playlist you look forward to. Maybe you want to watch your favorite shows on the treadmill if you're going to a gym, or while you do planks or sit-ups on the floor. Maybe you get one of those little trainers and you can put your own bike on it, and you do those things then. Or maybe that's your guilty Facebook time. Make exercise dates with friends. Sign up for a virtual 5K, wear your t-shirt, or drink out of your 5K mugs that they give you. Tell yourself that if you succeed at being consistent for a week or a month or however long, you'll get to buy yourself a new exercise outfit. Sometimes when we feel like we look really good, it makes you want to go exercise. Learn how to make, this is probably the most important one, learn how to make healthy food that you love to eat. It doesn't have to take a long time. Think about your favorite meal. How can we healthify it? Google it, and just learn how to do that. You'll get more from that than most things. But build in rewards. I know for myself, I love the smell of certain dryer sheets. So I wash all my workout clothes, and I put in all that extra gain, and so it smells great. And that makes me really want to wear those clothes and go do the things in those clothes. The next thing we're going to talk about is consistency. So what we know from the author of Tiny Habits, again, or Atomic Habits, I'm sorry, is that he says to never miss twice. Never go 2 days in a row without forming a habit. 2 days without doing the habit. We know from research that it takes about 2 months or 66 days to form a habit when we do something consistently. We're not, robots, so you might miss a day, but never miss 2 days. So just having consistency makes you stick with the habits that you want. The last thing we'll talk about in this topic is finding your tribe. So you want to avoid the Debbie Downers. You want to make sure that you have supportive people of your goals. It's not that you have to completely ignore people that aren't supportive, but maybe you just don't talk about your goals with them. And seek out that positive reinforcement. So if you go back to the beginning of where I showed you my website, you can find these slides. You can print them off. And if you're interested in use social media, these are the most used wellness hashtags. I don't know how, one of my students showed me how to find this stuff. But if you go and you use social media and you use these hashtags, you'll be able to see other people who are using them as well. And research actually shows, believe this or not, that people who see people succeeding at their goals on social media are more motivated to then achieve their goals in social media. So, not in social media, but in real life. So if you see somebody who's posting their Transformation Tuesdays and they've lost 20 pounds, or they finished a 5K or a marathon or whatever, we tend to feel really happy for them, and it's inspiring to us, and we want to do the same thing. Other places you can do that are if you have these smartwatches. I have a Fitbit and a Garmin. You can do it on there. I actually, when I was doing step challenges with a business, I wound up making friends all over the country who were in on the same step challenge, and we're updating each other on the events that we're doing. Strava's another one, MyFitnessPal's another one, and they all have their own little social media things built in that are geared towards talking about succeeding in our wellness goals. Other things you can do are keeping in touch with coworkers, your church friends, family, people who are similarly inspired. Keep in touch with each other. Keep each other accountable. Research shows that when you cheer others on, it increases your own motivation. We just talked about that. So what was I going to say there? I'll skip to the next slide. So let's talk about what healthy habits you need. Nutrition, exercise and physical activity, and wellness. So that includes things like mental health, sleep, stress management, and so on. We'll go first into nutrition and talk about the nutrition basics. So basically, I decided to break this down into what we need more of and what we need less or none of. So everyone can use more fresher frozen fruits and veggies, and less processed food. More lean protein and less fatty animal products. Beans and legumes can also be considered a lean protein, and less refined grains and cereals. You want to replace that with more whole grains, sweet potatoes, and healthier versions of starches, things with more fiber and vitamins. You want more water, more unsweetened drinks like herbal teas or just unsweetened tea, even unsweetened coffee. You want to have less sugar-sweetened beverages. Research shows that when people take sugar-sweetened beverages out of their diets, they lose something on average about 17 pounds over the course of a few years. More healthy fats such as olive oil, nuts, avocados, and less or none of trans and saturated fats. More portion control and less supersizing. So, which is a really big thing in Buffalo, I think, because we tend to feel like we get more out of we'd rather pay more or pay less for more calories in buffalo. So what I want to do is, just before I go in, I want to talk about a few studies about just getting more fruits and vegetables, just to try to convince you about why it's so helpful. So in 2019, there was a huge Cleveland Clinic study for wellness behaviors that showed that just increasing fruit and vegetable intake to 4 to 5 servings a day, this was over 14,000 people were in this study. They lost weight and kept it off for over 20 years more efficiently than people who had fewer than 4 servings a day. They also had other great wellness behaviors that might be good to talk about now. So they cooked more at home, they stocked healthy snacks, they were kind to themselves. They did not skip meals and eat snacks at night. So those are really important. But one of the biggest things was just eating more fruits and vegetables. Another study about portion sizes showed that, this was from the Journal of Obesity, showed that weight loss maintenance programs, so these are things like people who were pre-diabetic or diabetic, again, huge studies, it's a study of a group of studies, showed that things that helped people to get out of that pre-diabetes category were really intense programs, but so they got out of it, and a portion of people were able to sort of keep the weight off and stay healthy. Those people limited their portion sizes, they did physical activity every single day, they limited their evening snacking, and they weighed in every week. So these are people who kept weight off for 12 years or more, over 20 pounds. And they ate more fruits and vegetables, and they watched their portion sizes. So we talked about that as well. Great. So we'll move on to the next slide where we talk about nutrition pitfalls, and you can take out your handout and think about where you can improve. So for instance, is it snacking? Like, do we just go to so this is one of my problems. If I'm really hungry and I haven't planned out and I don't have healthy snacks laying around, I'll just go in my fridge and eat whatever out of the fridge. So maybe you want to have some fresh fruits and veggies as snacks, dip them in hummus or maybe a yogurt dip, fresh fruit, handfuls of nuts. Just try to have those out. Are you not drinking enough water? Make sure that maybe you want to introduce a habit of having a glass of water before each meal. That will take up more room in your stomach. Typically people eat less when you do that. Save yourself some calories, reduce your portion sizes, and stay hydrated. Are you a night eater? Some things that you can do are try brushing and whitening your teeth. Get some pressed white strips or something by 8 p.m. so that you're not going to go ruin that by eating something. Are you a stress eater? Try eating a food that you have to use your hands to get into, like maybe you want to get some Brazil nuts or peanuts, something that you have to crack and open and then pick the food out. Maybe you just want to peel some clementines or oranges. Just by having to stop and use your hands, you'll stop anxious thoughts because you have to focus on something else. A lot of times too, the smell of citrus fruits actually helps to calm people down. There's a lot of research on that as well. So that's something that might help you to reduce your stress eating, but also have a secondary effect on your stress or anxiety. If you're a meal skipper, try just having a smoothie or a yogurt or whatever's easy, something that's so easy you can't say no to. Take some time to think about your own habits and changes that you can make. If you take this time now, you can write it all down in your handout, and you've got a little bit more out of this than just listening to me and not walking away with as much. So I want to talk to you while you're doing that about how small habits lead to big change. Remember, we talked about the aggregation of tiny changes. So I don't have to completely overhaul my nutrition, is that what you're saying? And so let's just take a look at one thing. Let's say you eliminate one large double from Tim Hortons from your diet every day. That's something that you do every day. Or one bowl of ice cream. or whatever that you do every day that we could just eliminate. So if it's a double-double from Tim Hortons, that's 120 calories per day. Let's say you still let yourself have one every Sunday. So 6 days a week, that's 720 calories a week that you lose, 2,800 calories a month, 35,000 calories a year. That's about 10 pounds a year that you can lose or just not put on by not having a double-double 6 days a week. You still get to have them on Sunday. So let's take a look at something else. Like maybe you want to add more fruits and vegetables. That'll actually have a bigger impact, believe it or not. We talked about that 2019 study in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition that showed that, oh, this is a different one. It showed that people who are predispositioned genetically to have markers for obesity. There's like over 100 genetic markers that lead to weight gain. So these people that had these markers added fruits and vegetables into their diet, and they gained weight, or they lost more weight, than people who do not have those genes, who also introduce more fruits and vegetables to their diet. So I'll go through and say that again just to make it more understandable. So people who are genetically predispositioned to be weight gainers ate more fruits and vegetables. So did people who don't have that genetic predisposition. And the people who ate more fruits and vegetables lost more weight overall because of the foods that they were eating. The effect was persistent no matter what the fruits and vegetables were. But we find that they were greatest for things like fruits, berries, citrus fruits, leafy greens. The interaction, like I said, persisted, and it did not matter the fiber content or the glycemic load, so how much sugar was in it. A lot of times people say, April, but what about the sugar in fruits? What about the sugar? So this particular study, along with several others, shows that that doesn't really contribute to weight gain. You're better off getting it and getting all of those phytonutrients than not getting it. We also see better pulmonary health, better gut health, better stress responses in people who consume 4 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So those are some really good habits to have. The next thing we'll talk about is physical activity. So basically the CDC says that we need to be getting about 150 minutes of elevated heart rate per week. Research shows that people who lose weight and keep it off for 10 or more years exercise for at least 175 minutes per week. That doesn't have to be anything hard. It's just going for a walk with your friends if you want. The only thing you need to know is that if you can sing like a Whitney Houston song while you're walking, you're not walking fast enough. You should be able to talk to your friends if you want to, but not sing an opera or belt out a tune. So that's kind of how you know if you're going fast enough or not. It could be anything else too. It could be doing yoga, it could be swimming, it could be doing Zumba, all of those things. Same idea. You have to be at an intensity where you can't sing a song. So 150 minutes a week looks something like 22 minutes per day. If you're going to take a day off, like 25 minutes a day. 175 minutes is really just 3 extra minutes on a daily basis. It's 25 minutes of exercise a day. And the people who did that, the 175 minutes, are the people who kept the weight off for over 10 years. So this again was a big diabetes study. It's called the Look Ahead study. You can go, or a Learn study. You can go look those up if you want to. They're fascinating. They started out really restrictive because these people needed to get into a healthy place. But then they took some simple steps. They did weekly check-ins, then it turned into monthly check-ins. They ate more fruits and vegetables, and they had a lot of physical activity compared to people who didn't keep the weight off. And that's all it was. So think chunks. Even if you can't do 22 minutes a day from now, shoot for what you can. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Do it twice a day, whatever you have to do. If you can make 25 minutes of brisk walking a day. So like if you're on a treadmill, it's like a 3.7, or it's like 1.5 miles per day. You're looking at losing about 75 calories per mile, 112 calories a day, 41,000 calories a year, which is about 12 pounds by walking. So that and your Tim Hortons that you didn't do, or whatever it is that you can eliminate that isn't healthy, you're looking at 22 pounds a year that you either don't gain or you lose. So let's talk about the other side of exercise. So there's exercise and there's physical activity. So you need that 150 minutes of exercise, 175 if you want to be like those super achievers. Non-exercise physical activity is the stuff that you do throughout the day that makes you not sedentary. So if you go work out really hard for a half an hour first thing in the morning, and then you have a desk job and you just sit at your desk for 8 straight hours with no physical activity, which means not necessarily that you have to get your heart rate up, it doesn't have to be continuous, but you're sitting that whole time, you actually can continue to gain weight. Even if you are able to run 4 miles in a half an hour, it's not enough to undo that sedentary behavior. So non-exercise physical activity is like the stuff that you do throughout the day, that like going up and down the stairs, it's parking far away in the parking lot and walking. It's just getting up and getting those steps in, right? So this is where your steps come in and not your exercise. So non-exercise physical activity, in our world we call it NEAT. It actually comprises more calories burned throughout the day than your exercise calories, usually, if you're not a sedentary person. So here's where your healthy habits can make a huge difference. You can do things like I just said, like park far away in parking lots. What you really want to do is break up that sedentary behavior. So take a 5-minute walk break or a 2-minute walk break at work every hour or every couple of hours. Set yourself up to just complete a task and make your tasks at work like a chunk of something that you can get done in a time where you're not super fatigued. Then get up and just walk to the water cooler or walk for a minute. Chunk things that way and you'll be fresh for the whole day. Read your emails, like chunk your emails or your texts, and do that all in one setting. So do it while you're walking or do it while you're on an exercise bike. March in place if you have to. Just think about how to get moving. How can we move more throughout our day? So the last thing we'll talk about is healthy wellness habits. This is not necessarily physical activity. This is not necessarily just nutrition. It's time where you slow your mind down, where we address our stress in our lives. So you want to make time for meditation or mindfulness, even if it's just 1 minute of breathing on your smartphone app. If you're up for it, I'll have you stand up and we'll try just one very simple yoga pose. And you can do this right before you brush your teeth at night. That's how you'll stack a habit. So what I'll have you do is, this is called equal standing pose. I'm just going to have you stand straight up and down. Pretend that you have a puppeteer pulling the crown of your head straight up. Pull your shoulders back on your back. Keep your hips level so that we're not tipped this way. Nice flat belly. Abs are a little bit tight. We relax our thighs. And slowly lean forward, rock back until you're centered. Then we're going to create balance from the left to the right, top to the bottom. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. And that's it. That's equal standing pose. So even just doing a mental sweep, thinking about your toes to your head, that gives your mind a minute to sort of focus on what's here and in front of you and not get trapped in a constant cycle of thoughts. So that's one way to incorporate mindfulness, and a way to do it easily, very easily. Another thing you want to think about are your sleep habits. Are you watching TV and falling asleep? Just if you have a perfect diet and you work out really hard every day and you don't have good sleep habits, you're still going to wind up running yourself into the ground and having trouble. So aim for at least 7 hours of sleep every night and look up some good sleep hygiene habits that you can use if you need that. Can you replace your screen time with moving time throughout the day? Can you do just one simple yoga pose like we just did before you check your phone and you reward yourself with checking your phone? Can you batch your emails and your texts and your calls and your chores? Can we batch that stuff so that we're not just constantly feeling drained by doing it throughout the day? So once again, one size does not fit all. Like maybe none of the things that I talked about today really pertain to you, but you have some ideas about where you can insert healthy behaviors and what will work for you. And that worksheet should help out as you think about this stuff. So again, we'll just go through our healthy habit formation, starting small, so small that you can't say no. Seek tiny gains, because if you can stay consistent and you just try to improve marginally, you're going to get so much more out of it than if you try to say, I'm going to train for a marathon in a few months. Stack your habits with things that you already do. Build in rewards. Never miss twice. And find a healthy tribe. Find your support system. Here are some more wellness resources. So again, you could go back to that website, fulllifehealthpromotion.com. You could go to My Well Minute app for Alexa. So that's like if you just go into your Amazon account, she'll make you do something that's for wellness every day for about a minute. The New York Times has a Healthy Habits Well Challenge, and some of those are pretty good actually. They're pretty interesting things. I talked about James Clear's book. He wrote Atomic Habits, and so he's got some really good ideas at his website. If you're into social media and you want to try more inspiration that way, Reddit's got some really great things. There's Kiko, which stands for calories in, calories out, so a lot of people on there supporting each other. There's another board called 1500 is Enough, which is just people showing you everything they ate all day long. And a lot of times they're way better at making food look good than I am, so they're pretty pictures to look at. There's transformation stories. There's all kinds of really great Reddit forums on there. Other books on habits are Atomic Habits by James Clear, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That one's kind of older, but it has a lot of good stuff in it. Succeed by Heidi Grant Halverson is probably one of my favorite ones because she talks about a lot of really great just mental tricks that you can do. She's actually a psychologist from Columbia University, I believe. Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, and Dr. Wendy Wood's Good Habits, Bad Habits, Making Positive Changes That Stick. If you're interested in any of the studies that I talked about today, if you want to read those papers, you can just email me or go back to my website and email me through there, and I'm happy to forward those to you. Well, thanks so much.